I open an app looking for a short video of a puppy failing to jump onto a couch. Nothing ambitious. 30 seconds of low-stakes entertainment. Somewhere between that and my thumb going slightly idle, I'm now watching a detailed explanation of camper van layouts. Narrated by a man who owns several power tools and speaks with authority about composting toilets. I didn't search for it. I didn't plan for it. I just stayed still long enough for the feed to make a decision on my behalf. That moment feels familiar now. You recognize it immediately when it happens. You're no longer watching what you intended. You're watching what arrived. And it didn't arrive loudly. It slid in. The feed doesn't argue with you. It watches you. I'll say this plainly. I still sometimes mix up for you and following. I follow people. The app, however, is for me, or that's the claim. That distinction matters more than it sounds. For most of our lives, media worked on selection. You chose the paper, you chose the channel, you chose the program. Even when options expanded, the direction was clear. You went looking. That changed quietly, not all at once. It shifted as soon as attention became measurable beyond simple clicks. Platforms realized it mattered how long you watched, not just whether you showed up. A video watched to the end was more valuable than one you clicked and abandoned. A pause counted. A replay counted. Even stopping your scroll for a second counted. So now the system doesn't care much about what you say you like. It cares about what you do while you're not thinking about it. That's the part that unsettles people, usually after the fact. You didn't tell it you wanted camper vans. This isn't mind reading, it's bookkeeping. The feed keeps records. It doesn't judge. It doesn't interpret tone. You can watch something out of annoyance, curiosity, disbelief, or boredom. The system doesn't register any of that. It sees duration. It sees completion. It sees whether you moved on quickly or stayed put. That's how an accidental click becomes a tunnel. One watch becomes two. Two becomes a category. The feed doesn't jump suddenly. It nudges. It tests. It offers a few similar items and waits. If you don't, it adjusts again, slowly enough that it feels like coincidence. There's a small cost to this, not a dramatic one. You don't lose your values or your autonomy in an afternoon. You lose time. You lose a bit of pride. You close the app later than planned and feel mildly managed. Not fooled, just directed. We used to hunt channels. Now the channel hunts us, using our own behavior as the trail. That's the shift. That's the trade. Convenience for clarity. Effortless access in exchange for quiet influence. So the real question isn't whether the feed is good or bad. It's whether you understand what it's actually paying attention to. Because once you see that clearly, the mystery evaporates. That's where this gets practical. Let's pick up where the confusion usually sets in. You open an app, you scroll a bit, and later you wonder why it's showing you exactly this and not something else. The common assumption is that the feed listens to opinions. It doesn't. It watches behavior quietly, constantly, without context. People think they told the app what they like. In reality, they demonstrated it. Every pause, every linger, every full watch becomes a note in a ledger. The system isn't listening for preference. It's observing patterns, patiently collecting small actions most people don't even remember performing. Here's the simple math. Watch time beats everything. If you finish a video, that's the strongest signal you can send. It doesn't matter if you loved it, hated it, or were just too polite to swipe away. Completion reads as approval every single time. Like still count, but they whisper. Saves whisper a little louder. Comments whisper louder still because they take effort. But nothing shouts like staying until the end. Pausing the scroll counts too. Rewinding counts. Hesitating counts. The feed notices when your thumb stops moving. Fast skips matter just as much. If you swipe away immediately, that's a clear no. The system doesn't take it personally. It just notes the rejection and moves on. That's why two people sitting on the same couch can open the same app and see completely different feeds. Their behavior histories diverged weeks ago quietly. One lingered, one didn't. From that point on, the systems began testing different ideas, not aggressively, just enough to see what stuck. Over time, those small differences compound into entirely separate streams of content. This is where For You and following get mixed up. Following is simple. It shows content from accounts you explicitly chose. Chronological, predictable, limited. For You is the experiment. It predicts what might hold attention based on what already has. It doesn't care who made the video. It doesn't care about reputation or intent. It cares whether people like you stayed. Think of it as today's Nielsen diary, except you don't have to fill anything out. Every second you spend watching becomes the entry, instantly recorded. That's how an accidental tap turns into a theme. You stop on one video about a topic you don't normally care about. The system tests the idea with a second. If you watch that too, the test passes. Now it's a category, delivered steadily enough to feel natural. None of this requires intent on your part. The feed isn't asking what you meant to do. It's recording what you did. Annoyance looks the same as curiosity. Background noise looks like interest. The algorithm can't hear your internal commentary at all. This is why the tools that matter are boring ones. Not interested, clearing watch history, skipping quickly instead of lingering. These actions don't feel dramatic, but they're legible to the system. They change the math in ways likes and complaints never will. And that's the right way to think about it. The algorithm isn't a mind reader or a villain. It's an accountant. It tallies signals and allocates attention. Change the inputs and the outputs change. Slowly, reliably, and without making a scene. By the time most people get irritated with their feed, they've already decided the wrong culprit. It's easy to blame the app or the internet in general, as if something external suddenly went off the rails. More often, what really happened is quieter. The system didn't change overnight. We stopped steering it. There's a comforting thought buried in that realization. If the feed isn't malicious, it doesn't require a dramatic response. You don't have to delete everything or announce a digital detox. You just have to remember this is a system built to respond to inputs, not intentions, and inputs are still under your control. Most people don't realize how little effort it takes to nudge things back. A fast skip matters more than a complaint. Tapping, not interested, does more than rolling your eyes. Clearing watch history isn't defeat, it's a reset. These aren't grand gestures. They're boring, procedural actions, which is exactly why they work. What tends to trip people up is pride. Nobody likes admitting they trained their own feed into a corner. It feels faintly embarrassing, like standing in the wrong line too long. So instead of correcting course, people stay put and complain about the view, while the algorithm keeps doing exactly what it was told. There's also a timing issue. Many of us learned technology in eras where feedback loops moved slowly. You clicked something, maybe an ad showed up later. Now the response is immediate. One pause can echo for days. If you're not expecting that speed, it feels uncanny. Once understood, it feels mechanical. This is where tone matters. You don't retrain a feed by fighting it. You retrain it by being clear. Watch what you actually want to see, skip what you don't. Vary attention on purpose. The system isn't judging sincerity. It's counting patterns, and patterns are adjustable. That doesn't mean tunnels disappear. Everyone falls into them. Curiosity still works. Distraction still works. The difference is recognition. You notice sooner when a theme starts repeating itself a little too eagerly. That awareness alone changes the experience, turning surprise into something closer to choice. There's a broader comfort hiding here too. The world didn't suddenly get stranger. The feed just got better at showing slices of it. If things feel overwhelming, that doesn't mean you're out of step. It usually means the filters haven't been adjusted in a while. That's not failure, it's maintenance. We've handled tougher transitions than this. Pop-up blockers didn't defeat us. Dial-up tones didn't either. Toolbars came and went. This is another phase where attention became currency and systems learned to count it efficiently. Knowing that puts you back on equal footing with the machine. So the goal isn't to chase trends or outrun the algorithm. It's to walk alongside it without letting it grab the wheel. Stay aware, make small corrections, let the feed respond at its own pace, based on what you actually do rather than what you complain about. That approach lowers the temperature. You're no longer being dragged or targeted. You're participating deliberately. The feed stops feeling like a judgment and starts feeling like a mirror you can adjust. Not perfectly, just enough to recognize yourself in it again. That's usually enough, and when it isn't, at least you'll know why.